How can I pick my YouTube niche without feeling trapped? Is it possible to find a fit where I can be myself, stand out, thrive on this platform, but without feeling stuffed into a topic? For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Eric Wen, and this is part 3 in a series helping you rethink your YouTube niche. I think that there's some options with your YouTube channel that don't get discussed normally on this platform, where you can make things specific and clear and helpful for your audience and have fun with it and still be yourself, be free to experiment, to adapt, to expand if necessary. In parts 1 and 2, I talked about the mindsets and frameworks and obstacles you need to be ready for if you want to find this very customized, very personalized fit for you. If you haven't seen these yet, pause this video, check those out, come right back in a little bit, because this video might be really confusing if you haven't heard the setup, the tools, the analogies we discussed before. For those of you who have seen parts 1 and 2, welcome back. So awesome to hang out with you guys again. As always, this is a big one, so if you're ready, buckle up, let's get into it. Okay, so to get us all on the same page, what we're ultimately trying to build here is a focused, compelling, and personalized YouTube channel. And the way I like to do this is by building a YouTube niche hierarchy. Instead of looking at your channel like it's a one-word topic, I'm a tech channel, I'm a travel channel, I like figuring out the layers of your content, seeing how those topics, your values, those themes all connect. This video is very practical, but I want to warn you, it's not like a step 1, step 2, step 3 handbook to solve the problem like it's some math homework. Real life, real problems, real questions. It doesn't usually work like that. It's complicated. So instead of structuring today's video around rules and steps, I wanted to share with you 6 strategies, 6 ways of thinking I'd recommend you cycle through to find the right answers for your specific problems and at the right pace for you. Do them in whatever order you like, and even after you've completed all 6, if you do them again, you'll find new stuff. Okay, cool. So what is strategy number 1? When you're building your YouTube niche, it's super important to clarify what your mission is. What core values and passions burn inside of you that you can't help sharing with your friends? What sparks inside of you have informed a lot of decisions in your life, in your family, in your career? This is a little different than finding your why. It doesn't necessarily need to be your life's ultimate purpose and direction. It's much more like, what is your specific type of passion? Right now I'm putting up on the screen some core values, some words that I've noticed come up over and over again when I talk to my creator friends. Each of us are deeply passionate. We're super motivated and work hard to create content for this platform. And chances are you resonate with multiple words on this list, but if you were to pinpoint 1 or 2 words on this list that really get you going deep down, what would they be? Think about the times when you've talked with people and they've felt closed-minded or like they're missing something or they're not understanding what you're saying. What's frustrating you? Is it that they're not being authentic enough, thoughtful enough, exploring, curious enough, they're missing an opportunity to teach? For instance, I am definitely ambitious, but I wouldn't say my ambition is the fuel that drives everything that's going on with my YouTube channel. For me, I love being thoughtful. I love thinking about things and rethinking things, and for me, that's what feels electric. That's what feels like fire. Your channel will feel a little different if it's fueled by authenticity or exploration or teaching. Clarify what value is really fueling your fire, and I think you'll find some really fun insights. The second strategy that might be a good fit for you would be to focus on finding ingredients for your YouTube smoothie. The reason I use this visual of a sponge is because for me it feels like that. You're going through your own mind, you're going through your life, you're going through out into the world, and you're soaking up all of these options. You're noticing all these options of what you bring to the table. Make a list of every little thing you have to offer. All the literal obvious stuff you might put on a resume, and then the more abstract, nuanced stuff that you might answer during a personality test. Make a list of all of it, and then like a sponge, you soak up all those options and you start refining, you start cleaning up your YouTube niche hierarchy. You're not gonna use all of it. 90% will be useless for your YouTube channel, but that remaining 10%, especially if you've dug deep and found lots of ingredients, you'll start building layers and clarity with your YouTube niche. For me, there were a lot of ingredients I found that I didn't want to include as a main part of my YouTube channel. For instance, I'm a videographer, I like editing video, I like speaking Spanish, I am an introvert, I'm Asian, I'm a young person. These are definitely true things about me, ingredients I have to offer, but maybe I don't want to make it part of my YouTube smoothie. Remember to not forget the more nuanced, subtle things about your personality and what you have to offer. This is stuff that goes beyond just the skills and talents you have, what jobs you have, what your cultural background is, how old you are. It's stuff more like, how do I communicate emotionally? How do I present information? How do I organize information? What do I bring to a group dynamic that's 2 people? How is it different when it's 6 people? How is it different when it's 50 people? Do I tend to command attention? Do I tend to lead? Or do I tend to prop up and support a leader? How do I comfort people? How do I argue? There's all of these little clues everywhere about our personality and little quirks or gifts that we have. It's just up to us to notice those things. Dig around, find more ingredients, soak up more observations about how you're pinging around in this world, what environments you like, what's informing your behaviors and decisions. The more you train yourself to soak up all these clues, the easier it'll be for you to build your YouTube channel. It can feel excessive, it can feel wasteful, but literally just make a list. And over time, the pieces will come together. You'll start getting the insights you're looking for. Quite a few of you asked for help on how to find the ingredients for your YouTube smoothie. And I really wanted to include that process in depth in this part 3, but it's just too much. If you guys want more help on that specific side of this, maybe I can put together a series for February or March focused specifically on that. Leave that in the comments down below if that interests you. Also, by the way, this Sunday and maybe even Tuesday if there's interest, I'm gonna be live streaming and you can bring any questions you have at all about the YouTube niche or any areas of clarifications that I might be able to help you with. It's gonna be at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for about 1 to 2 hours. So if you're interested, hang out there. I'd love to help you how I can. The third strategy I'd really recommend you trying out revolves around this idea I'm gonna call the left hand principle. Think about the boundaries you'd be excited to play in, that you'd be perfectly happy never going out of. There are boundaries that you already like because of who you are, but you need to be able to call those out. Imagine you're left-handed and you're at a camp. The counselor, the leader, whatever, says, "Does anyone here love playing guitar?" And you excitedly raise your hand. They hand you a guitar to play and they want to see what you do. But you can't play the guitar. You were born left-handed, so you don't like playing with normal guitars. You like playing with left-handed guitars, and that's normal. In the same way, there's boundaries, there's limitations that you like because of who you already are. For me, when I built my first 2 layers of my hierarchy, thoughtfulness and self-awareness, those were not limiting for me at all because I'm naturally in my head thinking about things all the time. I'm naturally always thinking about self-awareness. There's a lot of skills and stories you have that are left-handed, and it's good to notice that about yourself so that you can either stand out, but also avoid environments and topics that might not be the best fit for you. Especially if you focus on those 3 strategies, chances are pretty high you'll have enough to build a couple layers of your YouTube niche hierarchy. Pick some core values, passions that you have that relate to your mission or areas where you're left-handed to be the bottom 2 or 3 layers of your YouTube niche hierarchy. And then use some of the sponge ingredients to make things more and more specific, more refined as you go. Once you have a couple layers going, this brings me to strategy option number 4. The reason I drew some eyeglasses and an eye test on here is because there's certain areas with your YouTube channel where you think you have good vision, you think things are clear, you think things are specific, but they're not as clear as you think. You can't see as well as you think. The easiest way to find these blind spots is to tack on these words to each layer of your YouTube hierarchy. About what, how, and for whom. Thoughtful about what? Perspective for whom? Exploring how? Curious about what? Ambitious for whom? Empowering how? Add those questions to your layers and you'll dig up a lot more clarity or blind spots that you need to work on with your YouTube niche hierarchy. For instance, let's say you asked yourself, teaching how? Are you teaching with analogies? Are you teaching with stories? Are you teaching with hands-on practice? Ambitious about what? Are you trying to hone your craft, become the best filmmaker you can possibly be? Or is it something more like, no, I want to make a huge impact on people, build a huge tech company? Those versions of ambition are totally different. Exploration, how? Are you exploring the world and different cultures, different experiences? Or are you exploring yourself more, different habits and different routines? Those two things are completely different. Find more layers with those questions. About what, how, and for whom, and you'll find a lot more of the clarity and specificity you're looking for. Okay, now the fifth strategy that might help you today figuring out your YouTube niche, it's sort of a recipe approach. All you have to do is take the ingredients that you've found, the left-handed areas of your life, and start writing a percentage next to each ingredient. This will help you find the order of your pyramid, of your hierarchy. The percentages can mean a couple different things. Either how much of a main character, a main piece of your content is that ingredient, or it could be how obvious is that ingredient to your audience. If the ingredients you're working with are very literal, it's very easy. It's like building a recipe. Okay, motorcycles and travel. Is this a travel channel 100% of the time and has some motorcycles in the background as some extra flavoring as a side character, maybe 20-30% of the time? Or is it the reverse, where it's 100% a motorcycle channel and there just happens to be a lot of cool traveling in the background, 20-30%? On the other hand, if you're working with ingredients that are more subtle, a little bit more abstract, like empathy or self-awareness or motivation, then the process is much more, how obvious am I going to make this to the viewer? How much am I going to work it into the branding, into the messaging? For instance, if you wrote 100% next to motivation, I'd expect you to talk about motivation in every single video. Your channel itself might be called Motivation Daily or something like that. But if you wrote 70% next to motivation, you might end up with something more like Casey Neistat, where his videos are very motivating, but it's not directly, explicitly about motivation. It's not in every single video, but it's there quite a bit. Lastly, if you wrote 20% next to motivation, I'd expect it to look like something completely different. It would look like a tech channel, it'd look like a travel channel, whatever, but once you watch a couple videos, you start noticing that there's a little bit of motivational content hidden in there. The recipe approach is very practical, and the more ingredients you bring to the table, the more refined your final recipe will be. The salt and flour are both important to make bread, but there's a big difference between using a cup of flour and a cup of salt when you're making bread. Figure out what ingredients and ratios you like, and the more you shuffle things around to add more of this and less of this, and in that cooking process, you'll find more clarity and purpose and focus with your YouTube channel. By this time, if you have a lot of layers, a lot of ingredients, a lot of this clarity about what ratio of this versus that, this is when you should start comparing and contrasting your channel to other channels that are similar. Let's say you have 5 or 7 layers. Find another channel that has those exact 5 to 7 layers, and even in that order, and then figure out what's different between you and that channel. It's easy to make a comparison with my channel and Charisma on Command because we both do communication breakdown videos. And while it's true there is some crossover, my communication style is totally different. You're not gonna see Charisma on Command drawing little pictures like this. The format of my videos is actually more similar to Graham Stephan, where I'm sitting in one spot, I do very in-depth, meticulous breakdowns. But again, even though I see the crossover, it's interesting to notice how my version of meticulous is very different from Graham Stephan's version of meticulous for my breakdown videos. Snowflakes at a glance all look the same, but when you take out the microscope, you can find some really interesting differences. The more you find those subtle top layers that differentiate you from the rest of the people in your niche, the more vision, clarity you'll have with your YouTube channel. Building your YouTube channel, the right fit for you, it's much more about vision and self-awareness than it is about finding that topic that's gonna game the algorithm and all that sort of stuff. The more you invest in those things, the more you'll be able to play. This process takes time, but you're definitely on the right track. I'm excited to talk with you in the live streams right here, and if you want help standing out as a small YouTuber, you should check out this video right here. You are the change maker of your own life. Let's think more deeply. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you guys soon. Peace. Bye.